Here's why health savings accounts are one of the most underutilized wealth building tools out there. So most people think of a health savings account or an HSA as a short-term spending account, right? Something you use to pay for doctor visits, prescriptions, or just an occasional medical bill. From a planning perspective, that leaves a tremendous amount of value on the table. Here's why. In reality, HSAs can be one of the most powerful, underutilized long-term wealth building tools available, especially for high income earners who qualify, who have access to an HSA. The issue isn't whether people have HSAs. I would say a lot of people have access to them. It's that are most people actually using them correctly. So a quick overview on the tax advantages of HSAs that most people overlook. Number one, contributions are tax deductible. So anything that you put into an HSA throughout the year is tax deductible. We do not pay tax on that money that is going into the HSA. Number two, growth is tax-free. So typically inside of an HSA, a lot of plans will require a certain amount of money inside of there as in cash. And then once you reach that threshold, that money can then get invested into the market. When HSA funds are invested, earnings grow without tax, right? So they are growing in the market year over year, tax-free. Number three, distributions from HSAs, as long as they are for qualified medical expenses, are distributed tax-free. And so when distributions are used for these medical expenses, there's no tax due, even if it's decades later, meaning we have a medical expense in 20 years that we're going to pay for. We've had all this growth, no tax due. On the other side, which we'll get to, if we have a medical expense today that we do not use the HSA to pay for, but we keep a detailed record of it, and then in 20 years from now, we take that money out and reimburse ourselves, again, no tax due. There is no other account out there that combines all three of these benefits in one place. So not a 401k, not an IRA, not a Roth IRA, no other accounts. Yet most HSA balances sit in cash and are typically spent annually. The big mistake I see is, number one, we see a lot of HSAs that are not even invested. So they're sitting in cash when they can be getting invested in an S&P 500 fund or a diversified fund and getting a much better return over time than sitting in cash. So that's a huge mistake I see typically within HSAs. The other big mistake that we see, especially for high earners, is that money goes into an HSA and we use it right away to pay for medical expenses, which is not a bad thing to do. It's just not the most efficient thing to do when we can maximize an HSA in other ways. Here's what I mean by maximizing the HSAs. So here's the strategy that most people don't know exists and where HSAs become most powerful, especially for the higher income earner. So if cash flow allows for it, medical expenses that you're planning on paying on a monthly, annual basis, instead of paying for them out of the HSA at that time that they occur, instead, you pay them out of cash flow. In doing this, your HSA funds stay invested. They allow the compound growth year over year and the tax-free growth year over year. Then the strategy is at a later date, you can then reimburse yourself for those same expenses. There's no expiration date on the reimbursement. So as long as the expense occurred after the HSA was open, proper records were maintained, you can reimburse yourself. So this effectively allows the HSA to function as almost like a retirement asset while still preserving full access to funds for healthcare when needed. Now, make sure record keeping here is critical. Make sure you keep detailed receipts, documentation to make sure that you can show that you are reimbursing yourself for a medical expense in the prior years. Now, why does this strategy matter so much, or why is it so valuable? The biggest reason is it's a long-term compounding growth in one of the most tax-efficient environments available. So allowing your HSA assets to remain invested increases the benefit of the tax-free growth. It enhances long-term flexibility with those dollars and improves after-tax retirement outcomes. I would say HSAs can play a meaningful role in your overall wealth strategy, and it's one of the most underutilized accounts out there because we hear so much about 401ks and Roth IRAs, which are great accounts, this just plays a different role and can really help build wealth. If you're not sure how your HSA contributions or how your HSAs are invested, or how everything works together in your overall financial plan, make sure you find a financial planner that is comprehensive in the fact that they are looking at the whole picture together and seeing how HSAs do, in fact, help from a 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20-year benefit for you, and see how they are worked into your overall financial plan.